City REDI is the newly established City Region Economic Development Institute, and what we're trying to do in City REDI is to become the font of all wisdom or evidence in understanding the ways in which the economies of the West Midlands functions and operates, understanding the linkages, understanding where wealth is created and where wealth is destroyed or lost. But it's also comparative. It's not just about the West Midlands of the United Kingdom, it's also about understanding the way in which this economy operates differently or similarly to places like the Midwest of the United States.
I think what we're trying to create through City REDI is absolutely perfectly timed, because these big decisions that are going to be made on devolution and the creation of a combined authority across the West Midlands, these are big decisions with big investment requirements. So it's absolutely imperative that we understand what works. We've got to make sure that the very interventions that we're making on a much bigger scale is based on evidence, with the best in that academia can offer, locked into policymakers, practitioners across a much bigger scale, and actually to create the notion of a global institute that is respected, but also creates solutions for everyday problems, as well as modelling over a long period of time. So for all those reasons, City REDI is absolutely well timed, but I see this as just the start of a much bigger aspiration for what we do across our region.
We have a lot of data about the region, we have a lot of understanding about the economic assets, the firms that are in the region, but actually understanding the more complex relationship between infrastructure, firms, transport systems, skills. There are gaps in our understanding of precisely how those things connect together and how that underpins current lowish levels of productivity, but also how we intervene to improve the system to create better economic growth.
Cities now are sort of the economic drivers of growth within countries, and understanding their competitive advantages, I think, is really important. And so what we've been trying to do is develop a whole suite of models to help us understand how the internal structure of that city region works, the degree to which it is dependent upon domestic markets, international markets, and where those international markets are located, and then try to see where we can think about strategic investments to help sustain that competitive edge and, even more importantly, to help enhance it.
If we're going to attract more business into the region, foreign direct investment, and attract more businesses that will employ people and add value, we need to understand what are our competitive advantages to attract those businesses compared to these other places around the world. That's the first ambition. The second big ambition is to understand precisely what is the connection between economic growth and public sector.
So I see two types of impacts from City REDI. First of all, I see the ability for this kind of embedded capacity and capability across the area, universities coming together with business, with policymakers, to actually start to answer in almost real time, gathering the evidence is already there, giving some interpretation of what that means, so that we can be confident the decisions that we're making, not in 6 years' time, but literally in 6 months' time, have got some foundation. Secondly, and this is much more important, I think, is over time we start building an understanding of impact for the regional economy over a decade, 2 decades, so that we know that we can shift the quality of people's lives, livability, but the economy, making the right interventions based on what we know works. So I think there's a short-term impact that I believe the unit can do to bring together, and I think there's a medium to long-term, which I think they can build over time, modelling that, quite frankly, in the West Midlands is globally renowned and is the go-to place, not just for people in this country, but from people all over the world.
I think in 5 to 10 years it's going to be very obvious that the West Midlands, and especially the new combined authority, will have gone through a process of transformation, and City REDI will have been involved in shaping that. We will work with the policymakers and the politicians to construct a convincing evidence-based narrative of this place, and to work with them to shape relevant and nuanced policy interventions. So all we want this to be, our primary impact is the West Midlands and the combined authority becomes a better place to work, a better place to live.